Afternoon all, how are we all doing? Afternoon Brian, afternoon Cash, Andres, Virginia, Ian, Day Trader, Peter, how are we doing? Sorry, I missed the top. Jerry, JC, Steve, missed you up there. Afternoon Alex, how are we doing today? Crappy old DAX today. Just basically DAX just flew out the lows, flew up out the highs, came back down, didn't really know what to do. And we're pretty much back where we started. So load of rubbish on the DAX today. No profit. A couple of losses basically. So full loss on the break short. Partial sort of third of a loss on the break long. Rubbish. Not much use at all today, that. Never mind. Rotation ahead of the news. News hasn't really done a massive amount. So we've had the Canadian CPI figures, and we've had the retail sales for the US. So Canadian figures, quite tricky to read. The yearlies we know about most of the time, because we know when we get the monthly and the quarterly figures, we kind of can make up what the yearly numbers are going to be. So when these come out as green, they're very rarely much different to what the forecast is, because it's quite difficult to get the forecast massively wrong, because you've only got the monthly and quarterly variations really to make the difference. So as you can see on the year, they're 0.2 out because they're 0.2 out on this month. So it's all, you see, simple maths. So this is the one that's really the impacted one, and it's a negative. So inflation has come down a little bit faster than expected for the Canadians. I don't think that's going to make any difference to the rate changes for the Canadian dollar. So markets had a bit of a whipsaw off of it. Nothing massively positive, nothing massively negative. Retail sales are down for the US, 0.2 miss. Not a lot of difference there really either. So again, market's not had a massive reaction. We've just had a bit of whipsawing, but it might well get underway this afternoon. But off the back of that news, what we've had coming out this morning, Knott says we're going to rate hikes in July, which we know about already. But off the back of the news, we're now factoring in a pretty much guaranteed 0.25% rise rather than a 0.5% rise next week for the US. So there we go. Fed's traders fully pricing Fed 0.25 point rate hike next week, not 0.5 point. 0.5 point was kind of very low probability anyway, but after these retail figures coming out as negative. So next week, we've got FOMC on Wednesday, and that's when we're going to get the 0.5, the 5.5, which is a 0.25 point rate hike. So that's all the news for this afternoon. We got CPI for the New Zealand dollar later. So that is kind of overnight. We're going to get some movement on the New Zealand dollar. New Zealand dollar has been dropping dramatically today. I got out of my New Zealand dollar US dollar on a trailer. It was nicely in profit. So that was the initial position. That was the second entry. Third entry I took off there. And it pushed down. So nice profit. So that's all profit. That's all profit. That part's break even. So overall, very nice profit. And it's come down and hit TP, which is top of that propulsion gap. So I got out on a trailer, though, just in case we had a massive negative reaction on the US. And of course, that would have done that. So wanted to make sure that I had that in the bank. So that's your news. All covered. Nothing else today, but New Zealand dollar overnight. So the New Zealand dollar, if we look at the ADRs, how long we got to the open? 4 minutes. So if we look at the ADRs today, you can see it's all New Zealand dollar based. Aussie New Zealand, Euro New Zealand, Pound New Zealand, and then the 4 New Zealand based crosses. So really big New Zealand dollar moves today ahead of tomorrow. So Aussie New Zealand flying to the upside. Got my first short on that today. That's an RSI extension on the hourly. So M5 reversal alert was this morning. There. So that candle there was your reversal alert, and then we've pushed up and done another one. So this is 125 ADR as well. So this is an ADR extension and an RSI extension. Again, good example of why you don't trade both strategies at the same time, because when you get an RSI extension, often it will be part of an ADR, or when you get an ADR, often it'll be part of an RSI extension. So they're just ways of measuring market condition to be extended. That's 150 ADR now. Looking for upside on that. Not a lot. So we've broken out of the highs from last week. That's your 2-week high and your 3-week high. So up there, basically. I'm getting absolutely slaughtered on the futures this morning. I really wish I hadn't tried trading futures this morning. Not getting slaughtered. I'm $280 down, but I'm actually $430 down. One of the things you've got to pay attention to when you're trading futures is commission. So there's a round trip commission with the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So although I'm showing a $280 loss this morning, which isn't bad considering how choppy it's been, I'm actually $430 down. Done over $130 in commission this morning. Kills you. Big contracts, small amounts of trades. That's the way to do it. I'm just getting ready for the open, basically. So yeah, basically Aussie and New Zealand, depends on what happens with the news tomorrow. CPI figures could drive this in either direction. If New Zealand dollar CPI comes out negative, we're going to get a rally up into the previous high there, that area. If we get positive figures for New Zealand dollar, we'll end up coming back down to retest these lows at some point. So keep your eyes peeled on that one tomorrow morning. Market is about to open. Hang on, how long we got? 1 minute 30. So I won't go through all of these, but you can see they're all extended. Euro New Zealand is an RSI, so I got first entry on that one. That's 125 ADR. Pound New Zealand, that's massively extended. Waiting for an entry on that one. Looking for this monthly high, so waiting for first entry on that one today when we get the reversal alert. The reversal alert's going to be there, so that's going to be a nice tight entry at 150 ADR up at the monthly highs. And the New Zealand pairs, New Zealand CAD extended to the downside, 100 ADR. New Zealand Swiss to the downside, yen. Again, all RSI extensions as well, so all valid RSI, H1, M5 mean reversion entries as well. We've got a weekly hit on New Zealand dollar Swiss as well. Let's have a quick look at the Dow. So Dow today, not a massive movement off the news, but we have pushed down and pulled back up again. So not really going anywhere at the minute. Very difficult to tell where we're going at the moment. We're on day 5 sideways. So we pushed up and then we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4. This is day 5 basically from that high sideways. So we are gradually making new highs, but not dramatically. So watch yesterday's high if we rally to the upside. Watch yesterday's low if we rally to the downside, because we're pretty much equidistant between the two at the moment. So you're going to get limit orders triggering at those levels. It's whether or not we hold them. So there we go. Market's open. There's your pre-market range. So it's gone short at the open. So short on the Dow. There's your NASDAQ pre-market range, and the S&P is a little bit tight today. So short on the NASDAQ, short on the Dow at the open off the pre-markets. So we'll see where this goes. Very difficult to tell. Typically, if we get in US dollar strength, you'd expect the indices to react negatively. But if you look at the US dollar, we've got a little bit of strength against the Canadian. We had a whipsaw against the Swiss franc, and the yen we had a whipsaw as well. So there's no gauge as to whether or not the US dollar is bullish or bearish off the retail figures. So hopefully when they open up, we'll get a decent run today. As I say, the markets have been very sideways for the last week. Typical before we go into earnings to get sideways movement because they don't want to put loads of orders in. But broken to the downside. So watch this level on the Dow as well. Potential support if we break to the downside and hold. At the moment, obviously, it's just gone down, hasn't gone up, hasn't broken yet. Rejection. Total rejection. Okay, see where we go from here. Lots of volatility this morning. Afternoon, Ian. Afternoon, Burke. Afternoon, outro. Baggy, David. Do you not struggle to keep track of so many pairs? Nope. That's what I've got my trade manager dashboard for. Keeps track of everything. I don't keep track of it. It does. That's why I built all the dashboards. Yeah. I don't keep track of anything. I get alerted when there are market conditions that are favorable for getting into trades by the dashboards, and I keep track of the trades that I'm in with the dashboard as well. Automate your life. So I'm just watching the futures. So going to stop out on the Dow. I'm hedged on the Dow now. Typical. Hedged on the Dow, still short. Oh my God, is that hedged as well? No, buy stop. Yeah, sorry. So short on the DAX, NASDAQ, hedged on the Dow now. I think I'm going to stop out on this Dow. Oh, blimey. Maybe not. So really big, strong push to the downside on that NASDAQ this morning, this afternoon. Dow Jones is really not sure which way it wants to go to, mate, at the moment. A lot of volatility, though. Afternoon, Stefan. Dow, explain the huge downside wick. Just a load of orders gone in short. Can't really explain it. It's just, this is what the initial cash balance is. This is what the opening range breakout is all about. When the market opens, sorry, I just need to concentrate on this futures position I got. Right, flipping long on the Dow. So basically, when the market opens, when the opening bell goes, the banks and institutions will have a large amount of commercial orders to execute. So their customers, pension funds, private wealthy investors, corporates will all have orders that need to be executed. So I want to buy 20,000 Tesla shares. So they'll have an order book, basically, which they need to execute. So what happens at the bell is they just basically get the orders filled. So it's business for the day, basically. I've got tons and tons of orders to fill. I just need to get them off my books and get the customers long on Tesla, or get them out of Tesla, or whatever customer wants to be done. So this initial movement is called the opening cash balance. And it's basically the stock market dumping all the stuff it needs to get dumped as soon as it possibly can, so it can get on with the real business of the day, which is basically speculative trading, making money out of the market movement. So after the initial cash balance goes in, the market then will start to put the speculative orders in, i.e., I want to go long because I want to make money. So I'm going to buy it here, sell it here, buy it here, sell it there, buy it there, sell it there, and make a load of money. And that's what we tend to see is once the initial cash balance is in, and a lot of traders call it the first 5 minutes, which is the kind of original version, if you like, of the strategy. So in the stock, in the pits, it was called the open outcry, the initial open outcry, basically, which is basically sell this, buy this, sell this, buy this, and then it would calm down. And then it would be like, right, Tesla, I want to sell it. And this is where you get the movement then start for the day. So what this first 5 minute candle represents is chaos in the pits, basically just dumping orders, get all these orders in, which is why we tend to not pay too much attention to it. So the initial 5 minute candle, you can make a lot of money on based off the pre-market. So when you take that pre-market range, if the consensus of the initial cash balance, i.e. all the traders have got an absolute ton of short orders to place or a load of buys in stocks, it will fly up. So let's say 70% of traders want to buy stocks rather than sell them. You'll get an initial big move like we had there. massive move to the downside, right? But then it all spiked back up again and it pushed up to the upside. Then it could pull back into the middle and then do that for 10 minutes, because that is all the orders done. Now we'll start to trade. Yeah. That's basically all that's happening. It's the chaos in the market. So if you take that initial 5-minute range and then you take a break of that 5-minute range, as that candle there is done, that is all the chaos out of the way. This is potentially the start of the speculative buying for the day. So if we're going to trend up, this is where it starts. Some traders take the 15 minutes, the first 15 minutes of market pricing as that initial dump of orders. There's no right or wrong, and you're never going to know which one is the best one to take. It's just whatever it is, basically, and you can't tell what it's going to be. So I'm just going to close some orders out. No, maybe I'm not. I'm long on the Dow, basically, so I'll just watch it. Every tick is $20, basically, so I'm just watching, you know, $150 flicking up and down on my P&L. So we can break this high. There we go. Back to break even. Right. So break even on the day now. So yeah, that's basically what's happening. So you can't explain what it is. Well, I just explained what it is, but you can't predict it. And this is the whole point of the opening range breakout EA, is that you go with the momentum of the market. If the market flies to the downside and the trend, the direction they want to take it today happens to be the initial movement of that opening cash balance, what you do is you get a breakout and a continuation, and you make an absolute fortune. That's the premise of the ORB strategy. You don't know which way it's going. You've got no way of telling which way it's going. The market doesn't even know which way it's going. If I've got 25 million stock sector orders to go long, and the guy next to me's got 25 million stock sector orders to go short, we're not going anywhere. If the guy next to me's got 25 million to go long as well, we're putting a whacking great candle in. Yeah. But this guy doesn't know what this guy's doing until he shouts, I want to do this. And obviously it's all electronic now. It doesn't happen in the pits, but that's still happening, but it's happening electronically. And that's what we're taking advantage of. Yeah. So with the Dow there, yeah, we went short. That didn't work. Now we're long. We've stopped out on our short order and we're long. So if it pushes up to here, we win. The NASDAQ is a prime example of it working well. The pre-market this is. So the pre-market range we took short, we're in a load of profit. The S&P, that range was a little bit tight. So we've taken the 5-minute opening range break long. But one of these is going to be wrong because they're not going to break in different directions. They're the same index, basically. And there's a lot of volatility in it today. So, afternoon XR update.news, Evans, afternoon. Dow and NAS are basically trading opposite each other today. They very often do. Totally different stock sectors. Those, I am very surprised. That is not normal. But TP on that. Okay, so this is yesterday's high coming up now. So watch for limit order triggers up here. Just going to take one off. Which one's got the smallest TP? That one. Okay, so just closed one. Break even on the second position. We might well fly through that, and if we do, fantastic, happy days. But if we don't, just want to protect the cash, basically. S&P's gone long. This is difficult because obviously these indices tend to go in the same direction. So basically one of them is right and one of them is wrong today. Which one is it? Do I close that out in profit because I think it's going to go like that? Or do I close that out in profit because I think it's going to go like that. Which one's the winner? Short pound US dollar and currently running drawdown control. We'll have a look at that in a sec. Wait for these to calm down. Okay, so we're at the highs on Dow. So if we break this high, which we're struggling to, might be a good sell here. See, there's a lot of momentum long though, obviously, so running into a steam train basically. But if we break this high, there's nowhere to go on the Dow. Actually, no, there is. Sorry, tell a lie. That is our ultimate high of recent times. We've got this level here as well. So there's that high there, that high there. Yeah, so if we're going to stay in this range that we've formed, yeah, wouldn't expect us to get any higher than 150 ADR today. And if we do, obviously we can come back down, but we are obviously trending up. So this is an ascending wedge, and ascending wedges tend to break to the upside. So if this does go out the highs today, which it looks like it's doing, it's very, very, very difficult to pick a stopping point on it, but it's also very, very difficult to get into it as well. But we'll see where we go. Right, let's have a look at FX while we're waiting for that. Oh, if I hadn't got out of that, I'd be sitting on about $1.50. Which ORB candle might have less whipsaw typically? Whichever one doesn't. It's impossible. That is an impossible question to answer. Can you read the future? Yeah. Think about what you're asking. I've closed my Dow long, yeah. I haven't closed the Dow long here, no. I've closed the futures contract long, but I haven't closed this one. Where's it gone? There we are. So this one's still running. So I've closed one. Closed one there. Second one is still running. So that was TP for that order. I closed it out a little bit early because it was at the previous day's high. So I just wanted to make sure. Go back to that. But yeah, think about what you're asking, Em. Which candle might have the less whipsaw? Which candle has the less whipsaw is the one that has the less whipsaw. Can't tell. So some days, like today, so today is a perfect example, yeah, to explain this, right? So the pre-market 15 range, or the pre-market 5, which is basically before the opening cash balance candle goes in, sometimes is fantastic. Sometimes is hideous. Yeah, that's hideous. That's fantastic. This is the same day. There is absolutely no way to predict whether or not you're going to get whipsaw on the opening cash balance or not. So if you're worried about whipsaw, leave the pre-market alone and trade the 5-minute ORB, which in this case was here on the S&P. So we didn't trade that one there. This one took the 5-minute range break to the long side, and that's working perfectly. Yeah, but that 5-minute break could have gone like that, then that, then that, and come back. Yeah, every single day, this will do something completely different. The whole advantage or the whole edge of the opening range breakout strategy in the EA is that you don't know when you're going to get whipsaw. You don't know when you're going to get runner. You don't know when that 10 to 1R day is coming. Could be today on the Dow. This thing could just literally go 5R up, 6R up. I've no idea. If it just screams up to 125 ADR today, brilliant. That's the edge of the EA. Yeah, you don't know what this is going to do next. You don't know whether this candle is going to be the last up candle today and it's going to come down and collapse and go all the way down to 150 ADR down, or whether it's going to go up. You go with the momentum and you trade with the momentum basically and see what you get. You get what the market gives you, and that's the whole advantage of it. You use a fixed stop and you let the thing take the profit. unless you're a human being like me and you see a potential stumbling block where you think, well, for the sake of that TP there and me taking profit here, that amount of money is not worth it hitting that and collapsing back down to a loss just for whatever that distance is. I'll take it, move to break even, and if it runs, brilliant. So what have I lost today? That much in profit. Yeah, you know, there's no right or wrong with it at all. This is just what the strategy is. It's a momentum breakout strategy. Like I said with this one of these is going to be wrong. Yeah, these two go in tandem most of the time. So it looks to me at the moment like we should be staying with the S&P long, and we should be getting out of this NASDAQ. And if this pulls all the way back to there, I'll probably take that off, close it manually, and let it flip long if it wants to. But these are the decisions I make. The EA is to get me into the strategy and let the strategy play out, but I will observe it and watch what happens and make decisions along the way. You can't predict what the candles are going to be. It's impossible. Could you make an ORB8 for futures? You could do. You'd have to use NinjaTrader. I don't code it. I just trade it manually on the futures. Futures, it happens so fast. Well, it happens fast here as well. But I mean, in the futures, it's easy just to place the orders manually. You've got a ladder. It's so much easier to trade. The reason people build EAs for MT4 and other platforms like it is it's quite complicated to trade. If you haven't got the Price Action Toolkit, you haven't got any buttons to do quick order scalping. That's why I built the Price Action Toolkit. With futures, you've got a ladder, you've got bookmap software, you've got everything you need. You don't need EAs. But you can build strategies for NinjaTrader to do it if you wanted to. Give me a sec. We're just slowing down at the highs on the Dow. Just closed NQ short, Brian. Well done. See, this S&P is stalling out up at those highs, look. So S&P's hit the weekly high again. That 1 week high. So it's yesterday's high, isn't it? Yeah, we got, no, that's yesterday's high up there, sorry. So yeah, we got S&P and obviously NASDAQ divergence. So you need to just obviously make your mind up on these. One of them is going to break one way or the other. It's not going to break both. These two aren't going in opposite directions. They never do. Can't get into this. Can't get into this Dow. It's not pulling back. I think best thing to do is give this 15, 20 minutes and just see what it does. Not stopping, is it? Let it run. On 24th of July is the rebalancing of the weighting of the top 7 stocks in the NASDAQ. Front running might impact the moves. What's the difference direction compared to other indices? I haven't got a clue, Alex. You know more than I do. I don't even know what that is, the rebalancing of the weighting of the top 7 stocks in the NASDAQ. If they're doing that, I don't know what impact that will have. But yeah, 24th of July, if that's happening, be careful. I haven't heard any news about it. So 24th of July. That seems like a very stupid time to do some kind of adjustments on the NASDAQ. Yeah. There's only 4 days 4 weeks in the entire year that the NASDAQ and the Dow go completely nuts. That's one of them. Why would you make adjustments to the main index on the largest earnings week of the year? Doesn't make sense, does it? I don't know what impact that will have. I guess you'll probably gap that day. So that's Monday, isn't it? So we'll have a look at it on Monday. I haven't seen anything about it. Stopped out on the NASDAQ short at break even. Outro. How did you stop out at break even on that? Got a gap. Hasn't traded back up to break even. Oh, unless you took the 5. If you took the 5, then maybe, yeah. Still going on the Dow. There's your 15-minute opening range. So hard not to hit the short button on that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close that one out manually. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick a trailer on this. If it's going to run, I'll let it run, but I'm just going to trail it. S&P is coming back down. These are really going in totally opposite directions today, aren't they? Earnings. So I'm just going to trail that and let that one stop out in profit. These two will deal with each other. If one of these will stop out with a loss, the other one will make up for it. So it doesn't really matter. Let those two run out and see what they do. Long down now, 4 hour locked in. Good job. I know I've said it before, but thank you for introducing me to the strategy and making the EAs that allow me to trade it. Not a problem. Here to help. One of the few real ones in the trading space. Are there others? I'm joking. Eyeing Dow for reversal. Me too, Brian. That's why I've just put a trailer on it. I'm just trying to find a way in today, and I can't get in long. So I'm looking for a mean reversion opportunity on it. The problem is there's no upside resistance. So the only thing we've got to play with is ADR. We'll probably start running out of steam somewhere up here. This isn't really something I want to get in front of at the moment. I'm going to wait for a bearish candle. And then we'll see when we get a bear candle if there's a way to get in. Either on a pullback long or on a mean reversion. But this thing's, if you're not in it, you've missed it. Right, ADRs. We've looked at all the ADRs. They're all New Zealand based, all massively extended. New Zealand dollar Swiss is the only weekly so far. That's just come off of 150 ADR. Reversal alert has just gone in. Oh no, just about to get it. 5-minute reversal alert, just about to trigger. Long off of 150 ADR. There you go. There's your entry. There's my entry. Ta-da! As if by magic, look, it appeared. So long New Zealand dollar Swiss. That's 150 ADR reversal and an an RSI hourly extension. So this is an H1M5 mean reversion. Target. Target I'm going to put in the middle of that propulsion gap there. Got that low there, which is that propulsion gap is created by the break of that low. So that's where all the orders came in to break that low. If we're going to continue short, that's potentially where you're going to find resistance before the next leg comes to go down. So we'll see if we can get back up to there. So there's all those. RSIs, there's quite a few lit up on the RSI. Still pushing. So we'll see. We'll have a look through all these. And with most of these, you're going to find that you're already in. Just because basically these RSIs today have all been lit up before. All these 4 hours, we've had hourly RSI extension entries and they've continued to push. So they're multiple entries. So most of these you'll probably be in already, but we'll look at them all. Dow is still pushing. S&P is trying to push. out the highs as well, which means the NASDAQ's going to struggle if the S&P is pushing so hard. So this might be the one to close out at break even. And then just close out the S&P and profit. So whatever profit you got on that, if you close that at break even and go flat, one. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Let's go. Oh, that's just the most annoying thing in the world. There's my long. So there's the ORB basically. You can see all these short orders here. Yeah, all stopped out. I flipped long. I closed the whole lot out there. That was $1,000 or something. We're here. We haven't really stopped, but I had to get to break even today because I wasn't having a losing day, so I just took the break even. Just can't get back in. Watch that. We'll see where it goes. Right. So Aussie New Zealand extended on the hourly. First short entry on that today. TP at 44. I'm going to put the TP down here. Reason being, obviously this is an H1 M5 mean reversion. So that entry there this morning was off of the H1 RSI extension. And 5-minute reversal alert was there. That's been invalidated by a new high. And then you've got your reversal alert has just gone in there. So it's not far away from the initial entry if you wanted to take that second one. So if this is going to be a one in, one out type play, i.e. we're going to get New Zealand dollar strength tomorrow. So the news, anything you're getting into today or you're in today, we've got the CPI figures coming out, inflation figures for New Zealand. If the inflation figures for New Zealand come out better than 0.9, which is what they're expecting, we're going to get a rally on the New Zealand dollar. So if we're going to get a rally on the New Zealand dollar, there's a potential that we're going to put in more than an ADR overnight in the Asian session. So if we are, might as well target a nice big target down there. So let's say, for example, we push down and we end up somewhere around here at the close today. If you measure an ADR from there, which is 55 pips, that's 55 pips, which is that propulsion gap. So if we get the news coming out on CPI figures, which gives the New Zealand dollar a big, strong push, and it puts in an ADR move, that's an easy exit. Obviously, it could go 150 ADR and come back down to challenge these highs. If it goes the other way, obviously, we'll deal with it later. Jeez, Dow, give us a break. It's not stopping. Okay, so this one here, I'm just going to executive decision. I'm going break even on the NASDAQ because the S&P is going out the roof. Dow's going out the roof. The NASDAQ is not going to be able to run short with these two rallying, so this one's going to push back up. So break even on it. Or they're going to find sellers in this propulsion gap and push it back down, and we're going to get a negative move on those two. One of those two is going to play out. So break even on that makes sense because we've got loads of profit running in that one. But the Dow's not stopping. So yeah, so there's New Zealand, Aussie New Zealand. So that's extended on the 4-hour. Also extended on the hourly RSI. So just waiting for that pullback play. CAD Swiss. So CAD Swiss is a 4-hour RSI extension. We've been extended and embedded on this. So the Swiss franc obviously rallied dramatically as the US dollar and the Canadian dollar started to tank. They pulled all the money out of the CAD and the US and put it into the Swiss franc, which obviously drove this down twice as hard. So this, I've got a buy stop here, which is an aggressive drawdown control position for this one. So I'm looking basically for that W pattern reversal off the monthly. Yeah. So here's the CAD Swiss monthly, or what, H4. You can see the monthly low. This is where we are. So what I'm looking for is limit orders to trigger down here and then rally back up. So this move here is like this move here. We're going to profit take half of that move at least. So that's basically what I'm looking for. So I'm looking for the reaction to come as a limit orders trigger off these lows. So H1, you're just about to get a reversal alert. So I'm playing the 15-minute reversal alert, basically. Oh, which was there. I've just triggered it. Literally, it's just triggered there. There's my order. So the 15-minute reversal alert was off the high of this candle, basically. That one there. We've just put in a new low off of that candle, so the actual alert's gone in there now. But I'm long now with an aggressive drawdown control position. Stop is just basically under that low there. So either this works and this is exhaustion and we are going to start the move up, or I'm going to stop out on it and lose 0.75%. So this is absolutely shot, this thing. We've got divergence. We've had divergence pretty much the entire move, look. But we've got really nice divergence on that last rally there. So this is nice bullish divergence. It's extended on the RSI. It's just shot. We need to take profit on these moves. So the Canadian news that we've just had is highly bullish on the yearlies. Monthly, slightly bearish, but it's better than expected, which means, well, I say better than expected, higher than expected. It's not better for the Canadians that their inflation is going up, obviously. But what it means is there's more inflationary pressure, which means there's no more pressure for interest rates. That is bullish. So potentially, we might get that kick off the back of that news. So this looks like a perfect spot. I posted this in Telegram earlier on both this one and the US dollar Swiss. Yeah, so I've taken an aggressive drawdown control position on the US dollar Swiss there as well. Exactly the same play. Stop under the low. So this is either going to get a kick off this news or it's not. If it doesn't, I'll be out and we'll deal with it. Otherwise, this is the move. Propulsion gap targets to the upside on this US dollar Swiss are great as well, as they are with the Canadian dollar Swiss. So lovely targets to the upside to come back and fill in. Yeah, looks good. I'm shocked at this this down move. It's just not stopping. These are the days you make your money. Just cross that I close my futures out. Never mind. NASDAQ's being sold out of propulsion. Really weird market reaction today. Just weird. Very unusual to see these two pulling in opposite directions. Very unusual. These two, understandable, but these two, not normal. So ADR on the Dow now. Depending on your broker, obviously. It all depends on your broker as to whether you've got ADR hit, but my brokers are. So there's ADR. So it's exhausted. Well, potentially it's reaching exhaustion. So be watching basically for signs of bear activity up at the highs there, because they're going to want to pull back on this. Everybody that's long on this right now is sitting on a massive P&L, as I am. Look. Yeah. This is the reason profit takes happen. Sitting on 8.5 grand, right? What do you think my reaction is going to be the first time I see a bear candle go in? Shit, need to get out of this. That's what everybody's reaction is. And this is why profit take moves happen. Banks and institutions are no different. They are human beings. They're sitting there on a massive amount of money, looking at this and going, hee hee, when I close this, I'm going to buy a new Ferrari with my commission. So when you get a bear candle going, they go, I need my Ferrari. And as soon as they hit the sell button, everybody sees the bear move start. As soon as people see the bear move start that aren't in this and want a piece of the action, they're going to hit the sell button to try and get in on the action. And that causes a bear move to actually get underway. As soon as that bear move gets underway, everybody that's long on this and has held off for a little bit goes, screw this, I want out before I lose all my profit. That starts the bear moves. And this is why the market moves in market structure, in cycles, because if you are long, you need to press the opposite button to take profit. That's why we get the move down, because they're taking profit on that move. Then they will add back into that move to start the next leg, because they're long. They will take partial profit. they will then add to the position to try and get more money out of the next leg up structure. So everybody's watching this exactly the same as I am at the moment, going, ADR, this is usually where we get to exhaustion. 58% of the time, the market spends its time within average daily range. This is where we're starting to sell off. We'll see how that goes, but it's all locked in anyway, so I don't care. But for futures, obviously this could just be a pause, or rather for trading in general, whatever you're trading. This could be a pause, and we could start a next leg up. So doesn't mean it's coming down just because we've got a little bit of a pause. Just means we've got a little bit of a pause. That's all. But it is coming off ADR, obviously. So that's CAD Swiss. I've covered CAD Swiss and I've covered US dollar Swiss. They're both long opportunities. Euro CAD, that's coming down nicely. You've got sells on this already. Average is down here. Really difficult entry on this because of the speed of that parabolic move that we had on Friday. Meant I couldn't get another position on. So nicely spread out. So looking for a push back down into propulsion, back down into there at some point. That would be a 50% retracement on the move. So that's underway. That's extended on the 4 hour. Yeah, so this is the 4 hour pattern reversal starting here. Euro New Zealand extended on the hourly and the 4 hourly. 4 hour RSI extension. We're back up at this 80 level. That's already kicked in. So there's first entry on that one. Target. It's a tricky one. That's not really enough money. So again, with this one, kind of the same thing. New Zealand dollar rates are coming out, so going to have to assume it's going to do an ADR. So maybe 150 ADR, halfway on this move, basically. If we get strong news on the New Zealand dollar, it'll push down. Whether or not it's got enough strength to keep the euro at bay doesn't matter, does it, if we get out there. If it's really strong, obviously we'll come down and challenge these lows at some point, but I'll stick a TP down there. If it triggers in the news overnight, fantastic. If not, deal with it tomorrow. Euro US dollar, multiple positions on this one. Again, need some US dollar strength. That is extended on the 4 hour still, just coming out of extension now. So this is going to turn off this alert on the next 4 hour candle close. We'll be down below the 70 level. We haven't gone anywhere though. We're just sitting in accumulation at the moment. So looking for a pullback basically down into propulsion. Pound New Zealand, we've looked at this. This is an ADR hit to the upside. Beautiful resistance. I've got a short on that. So this is a 4 hour RSI extension above 75, hourly RSI extension above 80. There's the entry. Target to the downside. That would be the obvious spot, which is 160 pips. 167 is ADR. So basically from my entry down to there is basically one ADR, that propulsion gap. So this accumulation break, yeah, that is the propulsion gap that started that break. So if we get back down into there and they do want to continue long, this is where they will add to their positions. So that's where I will be out. New Zealand dollar CAD, we've looked at all these. All the New Zealand dollar CADs, all the New Zealands that are ADR hits today, which is all of them. All RSI extensions on the hourly as well. So opportunities to go long on all of these. New Zealand dollar yen, that's already nicely in profit. That's pretty much an ADR, just shy. So this little pullback there, it looks like we're continuing with yen strength. We've got New Zealand dollar weakness obviously at the moment, so it's difficult to tell where this is going to go, this one. Yen is still a little bit of a mystery. We are holding on the Dow. So we'll have a look at the Dow in a sec. This propulsion gap here potentially is where we would start a new leg down. Obviously, this has got news overnight, so it's going to depend whether or not we get news. So I kind of like to be out of this before the news. So if we can get a 125 hit on this today, I'll get out. If we have pulled back on this one and we're sitting around here towards the close today, what I will do is put a break-even stop on it in case the news comes out negative on the New Zealand dollar, in which case then I'll just close it and we'll be out and there's no risk. And then I will adjust the TP again up to that propulsion gap there. So if we're sitting around here, one or two things is going to happen while I'm asleep. New Zealand dollar news is going to come out positive or negative for CPI, and that is potentially going to be an ADR hit to the upside or to the downside. So if it's to the downside, I don't want to be in it. If it's to the upside, I'll take it, which means more profit for me, basically. So no point in targeting that propulsion gap if it's sitting there and we've got the potential for a news event to take it there. Either be out of it or be milking it, basically. So that's New Zealand dollar yen, and New Zealand dollar US dollar is the other one, which is an ADR hit. That one is, I've just got out of that one today. We looked at that one this morning. So I had 3 entries on that one. That one I took off there. Those 2 I took off there. So nice profitable trade straight down into propulsion, which was target. There you go. ADRs. Dow, we are stalling. So I'm probably stopped out. No, not quite. So I'm stopping out on a break of the lows. So we break that low basically of that candle. I'll be out. If it rallies, I'll just go with it. Very tempting to short that because the drop could be just as fast as the acceleration upwards. So nice quick scalp to the downside. If I could get half of that move, that would be done for the day. I find it very difficult to long a breakout of that high of the day because it's very, very tricky when you know the market reaches exhaustion levels at ADR to try and push it further. We know it will do 150 ADR, 175 ADR if it needs to and it wants to, but it's a lot harder to get there. Once you've done this move, it's a lot harder for the market to find more buyers because they're in already. So you're trying to find people that are willing to sell this up there, and there's not many people who are going to go against a steam train like that. So tricky. NASDAQ's just completely stalled. S&P is still out the highs. We're approaching the high from yesterday on the S&P. So watch this level here. I'm just going to move my TP down actually, ever so slightly, just above that high. But that is looking like it's potentially starting to roll over. And the NASDAQ, look, looks like it's rolling over. Looks like it wants to go long. Very confused, these markets today, aren't they? Very confused. So Dow is starting to look like it's going to roll over. Might quickly, I'm going to try a short on this in a minute. I'm just going to wait for these candles to close. These are new candles, so I'm just going to wait and see what they do, but I might try and get in a short. Let me just have a quick look at the chat and catch up because there's loads of chat and I haven't been paying attention to it. Thank you for the immense wisdom you share on here. The best FX live on YouTube. How many people have we got? 77. We should have more than that, then, shouldn't we? Took the pre-market 5 outro. What's everybody's thoughts on the overall US dollar with what's happening with BRICS, the Indian-Saudi trade agreement? I don't know. This BRICS thing is confusing at best. I don't know what's happening with it. I'm kind of steering clear at the moment because unless it changes the way that the market moves, it's not really going to affect us if you think about it. So if this BRICS thing comes in, what we're going to do is we're going to change the bias on certain currencies. So things like the yuan will become more prominent, and we may go, right, let's start trading it because it's moving. So you trade instruments that have tight spreads and good liquidity. At the moment, the yuan hasn't got tight spreads and good liquidity, which is why it's not one of the main 28 pairs that everybody trades. If that changes, we will start trading it. And what you'll probably find is that something like the US dollar will start to drop in liquidity. And it might be that Euro Yuan becomes the prominent cross. It doesn't matter, does it? The market moves up and down. What the instrument is irrelevant. If the market does that all the time, I don't care what it is. I'll trade anything. I'll trade the ZAR, the Mexican peso, the Polish whatever. If it moves nicely and it's got a tight spread, it's tradable. Doesn't matter, does it, what we trade at the end of the day, as long as it moves nicely and we can make money out of it and it's not irrational. So we got 3 lower lows and 3 lower highs. On the Dow. Can't bring myself to short it. I'm still in long there. That's going to stop out, I think. And I think that one's going to TP and go. Don't know on that thing. EuroCAD. Have we not looked at EuroCAD? Yeah, we've looked at EuroCAD. Short on EU ORB. Blender in full swing. FX smoothly served. Brian's been killed by the Euro US dollar today. Yep, looks like it. Big swings as well. It hasn't just blended you up, has it? It's blended you up and spat you out. In fact, that candle there is your 4-hour break, isn't it? Blend. Mind you, that break of that high, you've got all the way up to there, look. You got 2R to the upside before it came back and broke the downside. And then it blended you up completely and took all that away and a bit more. I don't think it's viable, Brian, long term. Well, in fact, I've proved it's not viable with the EA. I've tested it. It doesn't work long term. It's a lovely strategy to trade and get you into trades and manage, but you're going to have to adjust your stops and everything manually because you've got to watch price action with that. I think great for getting in though. It's a great entry strategy. That first 4 hours, I like. Oh, you two are now talking about what I've just said. 4-hour London Open, yeah. Yeah, talk about it in Telegram. Basically, Outro, what he's doing is he's taking the first 4 hours of the Asian session. So 1, 2, 3, 4, using that as a range. Basically, with the Asian range, most people class the Asian range, which is the London breakout strategy that doesn't work, is the first 8 hours of the day. Yeah, UK. So we go from midnight to 8, and then we take the London breakout strategy. The problem is with the London breakout strategy is it just doesn't work. That's one of the problems, but it doesn't have an open. There is no open to London. Yeah, we do not have the banks opening at 8:30 and executing all the FX orders. It doesn't work that way. They execute when they need to execute, when they have the volume. So not like the opening range breakout strategy, 9:30 in New York, the bell rings, ding, 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 the thing goes nuts. That doesn't happen. Same as Frankfurt, 8 o'clock in the morning, goes nuts. Doesn't happen in FX. So if you take that initial range break, yeah, and what happens is when Asia gets going and makes its move, if London agrees with Asia, you get a really nice breakout of that first 4 hours. If London disagrees with Asia, you don't get that. But if London disagrees with Asia and pushes up, and then New York agrees with London, you get a lovely break. What you get problems with is when Asia decides to go south. London decides to go north. New York decides to go south. And then New York pulls it back for the day. Death, 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 death. Yeah. But there's lots of other instances where you get that first 4 hours. Asia doesn't really do much. It does break long, but then London decides to break long, and then New York decides to go with London. That is a 5R. That is a 5R, but it didn't happen until New York. Yeah. But then you get these, what Brian calls the blender days. These are what you've got to filter out. You've got to stop yourself getting killed in rotation days. And unfortunately, unless you have a crystal ball, as we know, there is no way of predicting rotation days. Same as any breakout strategy, strike rate is usually somewhere in the region of 20 to 30%, because 80% of the time the market spends in mean reversion. Therefore, if you're a mean reversion trader, your strike rate is 70 to 80%. It's not, but it spends its time in mean reversion, meaning that 80% of the time you have a better opportunity to make money as a mean reversion trader. As if you're a trend trader or a breakout trader, you have only 20 to 30% of the year when the market is in the condition that you want to trade in. So pick mean reversion, because then you've got 80% of the time the market's on your side, isn't it? Iraqi dinar reevaluation. Yeah, Iraqi could become, you never know. The dinar could become a major currency. Now has stalled. Still wicks to the downside though. They're not letting this go, are they? Buyers, they don't want to go short. When they do go short, though, i.e., they take profit, we'll be down here in 15 minutes. A really nice break when it happens, if it happens today. Nice 9R on the Dow. Let's see what I've got on the Dow. I'm using a wider stop than most, so I'm not going to have 9R. And I've got 4R. Where was my stop? Down there anyway. But yeah, you could have had, if you'd have used the 15-minute ORB, yeah, you'd have had 9R. There you go. As you just said, 9R. Very nice. Okay, we've got into complete freeze mode at the moment. One of my best days in a long time. It's what it's all about. Getting the big days. Sitting through the crap, waiting for the big ones. Wilma, gold. So gold basically hasn't had much today. Oh, yes, it has. See, that's an interesting reaction. So this is why, in a nutshell, I do not trade gold, right? Gold is a US dollar cross. When the US dollar drops, gold rallies. When the US dollar rallies, gold drops. The US dollar today isn't going anywhere. Euro US dollar, pound US dollar Swiss, right? So the US dollar is not going anywhere today. I've just proved it by looking at 3 currency pairs. Look at some more if you want. It's not going anywhere today. So why is that? Yeah, they're buying up gold for some reason. Doesn't make any sense, does it? You get these crazy moves that happen on gold for no apparent reason, which is why I don't position trade it, because you're never going to be able to survive these nutty ones, because usually after these nutty ones have happened, you get some kind of other crazy move started by some other currency. Sorry, wait a sec. So I just got to adjust something over here. So yeah, you'll get the US dollar basically after this move, then suddenly collapse, and you get a parabolic move to the upside. So gold just suddenly does 150 ADR, 200 ADR out of nowhere. Then the next day it does another 150, 200 ADR out of nowhere. just mental movement. So this is why I don't trade the thing, because it's just so irrational. But yeah, big push to the upside today. The problem with gold as well at the moment is the banks and central governments have less availability to buy the thing because, bear with me one sec, just trying to do something over here. A massive portion of gold is stored by Russia. They are big hoarders of gold, and there is a import-export ban on Russian gold at the moment. So the supply is dramatically reduced on it, which again means that when the movement happens, it happens a lot faster and bigger than normal. So it's an erratic beast. But you see, that's how US dollar, yeah? US dollar drop, massive spike. US dollar does nothing, massive spike. Anyway, crazy beast. Central banks are loading up, yeah. Gold is a safe haven in the same way that Swiss franc is. So when there's troubling times, we take our money out of risk. We take the risk off the table. So the stock market is risky. Certain FX currencies are risky and volatile during certain economic events. So if you want to put it somewhere safe, you put it into something like gold because there is a supply-demand issue with it. You put it into the Swiss franc because the Swiss franc is a safe haven because they are rock solid financially. And they have very high interest rates for people that want to put lots of money there, which is why you have Swiss banks. All the rich and the famous have Swiss banks. Why? Because they pay a lot of money in interest. So, and it's a very safe place to put your money. So that's where it goes. And then it all comes out again. This is what we're seeing with the US dollar Swiss, which is why I was explaining about the CAD Swiss and the US Swiss earlier. When we have problems with the US dollar, money comes out of the US dollar. If you don't know where to put it and you don't know what to do with it, you'll stick it in the Swiss franc. So the US dollar Swiss has these massive swings when you have negative movement on the Canadian dollar and the US dollar. Yeah, because you're getting the money pulled out of one currency and pushed into the other currency, making this thing move twice as fast. But when they undo the move, that also happens twice as fast. New highs on the Dow. Still in it. Wow. Big day for the Dow. I'm just going to look at the earnings. So Bank of America stocks today up dramatically. So they've obviously had good earnings. Morgan Stanley stocks up dramatically. They've had good earnings. Goldman Sachs, we've got pre-market tomorrow. So I would expect a similar day tomorrow, assuming that we get positive moves off of Goldman, because they've had positive off of those. So they're buying the banking sector at the minute. Then we've got those aftermarket tomorrow. So Thursday is going to be the main moving day this week because we've got all that aftermarket movement from Tesla and Netflix to contend with. God, I'm gutted I couldn't hold that futures contract. That would have been a huge payday. If I hadn't have traded this morning, I probably would have held that, but I had to get losses back from this morning. So, Brian, yeah, gets me, then manage manually. Got 1.5 on the long, took half off, stopped twice, shooting for break even on the day. Break even on the day is a result. Am I still in New Zealand dollar, US dollar? Easy to look on the chart. No, out. So got out of New Zealand, US. If you're not in the Telegram group, go and have a look in the Telegram group. I put all the information about this one in there today. Got out basically on a trailer before the news. Right. So just holding everything at the minute for the news tomorrow morning. Dow, this could be the start of an M pattern reversal up here. So watch for a break of this low. If we do get a break of that low, it means that the buyers basically have run out of steam. We haven't got any more buyers left. So you'll be getting a short on that. So that will be your reversal alert. As you can see there, the reversal alert indicator will tell you when that M pattern reversal happens, that low. So when we've broken that, buyers are no more, sellers are in control. How long the sellers can hold it and how far they can push back on a profit take move. If it happens, obviously, you know, this is why we wait for the reversal alert. Don't take it until you got it. Need the sellers on side before you get in, but it is starting to look like it's petering out a little bit up there now. Bear with me one sec. Right, that's all I've got for you today. If anybody's got anything else they want to look at quickly, let me know. But loads of opportunities to get into loads of stuff today. A lot of this is already played out, though, or starting to play out at the moment. So we'll see where we go. Anything you're taking New Zealand dollar based today, obviously bear in mind that we've got New Zealand dollar news overnight. Sorry, that's CPI tomorrow. We've got New Zealand dollar news overnight. So you're going to wake up to movement potentially in Asia. Obviously, we've seen what's happened today with the Canadian dollar, not a lot. So you could potentially just get a whipsaw in New Zealand. We might not even get an ADR out of it. It all depends on what the figure comes out as. But if you look at the fundamentals for the New Zealand dollar, we are up at the highest interest rates worldwide at the moment, 5.5. Our inflation figure is the third highest worldwide and coming down at the slowest rate worldwide, pretty much within reason. Well, it's not actually the slowest rate, but it's, you know, slow, as in the rest of them are all slow as well, not doing very well. So if that comes out higher than expected, that inflation figure, which is the CPI, which is what we're getting tomorrow morning, quarter on quarter, that comes out bigger than expected, there's going to be even more inflationary pressure to put interest rates up, which means that is going to start looking like your sixes, your 6.25 terminal rates, the same as the pound is at the moment, another 1.25% forecast. If that's the case, we should see some strength come through on that New Zealand. So we'll see how we get. If we get that figure coming down dramatically, it will take the pressure off them, and there will be more pressure to stabilize and stay at 5.5 to see what happens next. Because at the moment, they're on top of their unemployment. If that starts to go up because of that, it makes pressure to undo interest rates, which means that obviously that means inflation is more likely to go up. So it's a really key figure. This is why we focus on interest rates, inflation, GDP, and unemployment, because these are the four driving factors that decide whether or not a currency is going to be strong or weak going into the future, which at the end of the day comes down to interest. You make more money out of it, you stick your money there. But you've got to have a good economy backing it up as well. And at the moment, New Zealand's got quite high unemployment, and the problem with the New Zealand dollar is their main export is sheep. So, you know, not the best economic factor, is it? Oh, the other thing we haven't looked at is oil. So, I don't know why I went to sheep there. We had this big spike on oil yesterday, which was just out of the blue, literally 10 minutes, 150 ADR, and then came all the way back down again, 125 ADR, whatever it was. We're pulling back at the moment into this sort of previous tiny little resistance, but multiple support. We weren't able to break through it, and ever since we just keep batting into that level. Finally gapped down through it, slammed through it, and now we're back here again. So if this, we were looking at this as to whether it's bullish or bearish, which is very difficult to call at the moment. That's the level we've run into and broken down from. If this reversal alert is going to hold and we are going to go into bearish market structure, we should be looking for lower highs. Yeah. So we've got that high, we've got a low. We're looking for a lower high. So we'll be looking around support and resistance areas for that to happen. That's pretty much a 50% retracement of that move. So somewhere around here, potentially, we could be looking for the next batch of sell orders to come in. Or they might pull back 61.8, 71.9 up into propulsion, which is going to be a fair old push, and then come down from there. So we've got oil inventories tomorrow. So if we're sitting up here tomorrow, if this doesn't hold, potentially we might get a drop on the oil inventories tomorrow. The Canadian dollar obviously reacts off of oil. So it would be lovely to see this rally, because I want the CAD to go up, because I've got longs on the CAD and the US dollar. So it'd be nice to see this break these highs and actually make a run for 85 a barrel, which is what we were targeting initially. So there's your 83 and a half basically. So roughly around about 85 a barrel up here somewhere is what we would target to the upside. That would be lovely, because that's going to help the Canadian dollar rally, which will help the US as well. And off the figures we've had today, the Canadian dollar, inflation's going up. So there's more pressure to put interest rates up. And if oil can continue to rally with interest rates on the Canadian dollar, it should be good. So, but very difficult to tell whether or not this is a structure break or not at the moment. So we've had the reversal, as you can see there on the 4 hour. We've retested it. Although it's very weird retest. That was the Russian announcement of the grain deal expiring. So yeah, tricky, very tricky oil. But there's a couple of plays on this. If you're going short, there's an absolute mile to go. So really nice risk reward short that is, but obviously it will take weeks to play out with oil. So that's the only other thing we didn't look at that I meant to cover this afternoon. Dow still rallying. Just hold it until it stops. The S&P and the NASDAQ seem to have completely broken. So don't know what to do with those two at all. Probably the best thing to do with these actually is put a trailer on these as well. So just maybe trail them. I'm going to trail this 37. Or 30. Let's call it 40. So got a trailer on the S&P there. NASDAQ's break even. So basically that one will either continue down and I'll close out whatever it is and the profit, or it will stop out break even. That one is either going to hit that TP and then carry on and we'll close out later, or it will stop out in profit. So that's guaranteed profit. That's obviously massive profit, and that's guaranteed profit or break even. So all three across the board today. Pays for the Dow, because the Dow DAX rather didn't make any money this morning. Can't win them all. Joanna, did you look at Euro US dollar yet? I think so. Yes, only briefly though. It's a 4-hour RSI extension. So I'm in short on the Euro US dollar at the minute. So initial entry was here on the RSI extension, looking for that to be the lower high and push down. But it rallied off of all the negative US dollar news. So in 4 on that at the moment, short, waiting for it to come back down into propulsion. So we've got that high there, which is this propulsion gap, which it may bounce from. And then we've got this high here, which is a 50% retracement, which is where I'm targeting that propulsion gap there. I was hoping it was going to go this afternoon off the news, but as you can see, not gone anywhere. So news tomorrow. We've got housing starts. That's all we got tomorrow afternoon, which doesn't really do a lot. Housing starts is not the same. Well, it's kind of good. building permits is no use because you can get a building permit and never actually build anything. So it doesn't help the economy. Housing starts does help the economy, but it's not really something that tends to move the market much. So we haven't really got any catalysts tomorrow for the pound, for the US dollar. We've got the pound CPI tomorrow. So anything euro and pound based tomorrow is potentially going to move as well ahead of the news, ahead of the live room tomorrow morning. I am short, and I thought, and I was wondering where you are. 2 ADR reversal or so. Yeah, that's why. Well, I'm short on it basically. So that's the thing with position trading. I'm short. I will remain short until I'm not short anymore, and I will not be short anymore when I'm out. How long that will take to get me out is down to the market. Yeah, so I got in ahead of a small rally before a major news event. Nothing you can do. It's fundamentals. So it's not that weak, though. The news we've had is not that weak. We've got the US dollar rates going up next Wednesday. So worst case scenario, if I have to hold this for another week through to next Wednesday, I will. FOMC next week, when the rates go up, we should see some bullish movement on the US dollar. But obviously it's the Fed. So, they can put interest rates up and then actually be negative about it. So we'll see. But I should be out of it by then. Just think, they've been longing this thing for over 5 days. They're sitting on a bucket ton of cash, and they haven't done any profit take moves on it. We're flagging. We're not even flagging. We're in rotation at the moment. So big drop down. Tough to close the charts today when the Dow has had a great mean reversion opportunity. I know, I'm watching it. If I wasn't long already in here, I'm about to hit TP on this. This is 5R. I'm going to take that TP off, actually. I'm not going to TP on it. I've got a trailing stop on it, so just going to let it go as long as it wants to go. There's TP hit on the S&P at the high. So this is high of yesterday on the S&P. So this is potential double top limit orders. And as I said, that one, if that goes, typically that will go with, that will close out at break even. Could even flip long on that. However, probably won't flip long on that. Yeah, I mean, I'm watching. I shouldn't have got out of that futures long. I was not. I mean, you can't anticipate a move like this. I should have left a runner on, but I didn't. So I'm looking for an entry short to mean revert this at some point today. So I'm just going to monitor it, but I want to see, a proper sell go in, nice big down candle, bearish engulfing, or a whacking great wick rejection, something that says no more buyers. I'm not sure we're going to get that today. What I think we're probably going to get is that sort of thing. And I'm not interested in that. I want to see a big profit take move start. I want to see them try and get some of this off today. The S&P is still rallying. So NASDAQ's going to stop out. I'm just going to cancel these buys off. I'm not going to go long on the NASDAQ. So out of the NASDAQ, break even on that one. Not flipping long. Just wonder why you don't trade afternoon, Neo. You're late, Neo. I'm about to finish. Just wonder why you don't trade the FTSE. Just because it's not as fast. It's a very thick market. The FTSE moves very, very slow. So I would only ever trade the FTSE in the morning. Obviously, you wouldn't trade the FTSE in the afternoon because it's a UK index. You want to trade it at the open. I would trade it during Frankfurt session, but I wouldn't trade it because it's just too thick. Moves too slow. Any idea about US dollar INR? No, haven't even got it. Don't trade exotics. Not a clue. Trade stuff that's not thin and high spread. You've got 28 major FX pairs. Yeah. There's absolutely no reason to trade the rupee. Too illiquid, too high spread, too high swap. Trade major FX and minor FX. You don't need to trade all that stuff. It's too dangerous. Right, I'll leave it there. Dow basically still going, so I'll get what I get on the Dow. It's going to be a monster day, whatever happens. So ORB is beautiful today. So if you need anything else, I'll be in the Telegram group. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7:50 for the Frankfurt session, 2:20 same time for the US tomorrow. We'll see how we go. Thanks for the follow. Sorry, I missed somebody earlier, didn't I? Lens, thanks for the follow. And Lakshminarayanan, welcome aboard. I'm useless for names, especially when they're as long as that one. But yeah, welcome aboard. I'll be back tomorrow. If you need anything, come in Telegram. And if you're going to mean revert this, just be careful. Make sure you got a lot of bears on side before you even attempt it. Right, I'll be back tomorrow. Have a good day.